Welcome to the Home Group Podcast, where we discuss everything addiction, recovery, mental health. I am Flip.
And I am Luke. Our generation of men, you're not allowed to have feelings.
We're going to talk about things that are uncomfortable, things that are scary, because when you talk about it, you take away its power.
The only thing that's going to keep me clean is me not wanting to be who I was then.
We was in the trenches, now look how we out here ballin'. Pumped up in the max, now we flooring in the fall.
Welcome to another episode of the Home Group, your podcast for everything addiction, recovery, mental health. The only requirement for membership is a desire to not get high.
My name's Luke, and I'm an addict, and my clean date is October 11th, 2017. You know, I've spent a lot of my years of addiction and, trying to get it together in prison. There's been a lot of institutions in my story. Now I'm a successful business owner. I got my kids back in my life. I'm mending bridges with family members and friends, and today's great.
My name is Flip. My clean date is April 1st, 2016. My drug of choice was opiates, landed me in numerous jails and institutions. Been clean for some time now. Since then, successful business owner as well. We actually own a business together. Married, 2 kids, house. Life is good today. So, Luke, what do you want to talk about today?
I'd like to talk about the Just for Today
Enlightenment
from the Daily Meditation. Through our inability to accept personal responsibility, we were actually creating our own problems. Now, there is a fine line between personal responsibility over our actions and powerlessness over our addiction. Our action is a very broad range of things, right? Our powerlessness over our addiction is pretty specific. It's powerless over your addiction. It's not powerlessness over the lady that cut you off in traffic on 75 because she doesn't know how to drive and her chin is glued to the steering wheel and she's 137 years old. Okay?
Yep.
That's not a powerlessness situation. Okay? It's not powerlessness over I'm on StockX and maybe I should just grab these pair of shoes because it's not crack. Right?
Absolutely.
It's not crystal methamphetamines, so maybe I should just grab these shoes. No, that's not it, right? So, personal responsibility, right? What is personal responsibility? My bills, making sure I have a roof over my family's head, going to work every day. What is personal responsibility for you?
Basically everything that I didn't do in active addiction, right? My life, a day in the life today, right? For instance, we'll take today, for example. Woke up, kids don't have school, but they're going to the beach with their grandma, so we got them ready, got them fed, sent them to grandma's house. You came over, we're doing this podcast, right? And then tonight, going to the rehab that I graduated from, that your brother graduated from.
Right.
That your brother went to.
I'll be joining you.
Yep. Yes, you will. And sharing our experience, strength, and hope with them, right? But on a day-to-day basis, you pretty much hit it on the head. It's providing for my family, going to work. My biggest thing is being a man of my word today, right? And that was something that was never the case in active addiction.
Right. Absolutely. I can definitely relate to that.
So, I love that reading because, and it brings to mind conversations with my mom because when I actually first got clean and was serious about it, I had an in-depth conversation with her. And she said, every time you told me you were going to get clean, you meant it. And I didn't even know what she meant at that point in time.
Yeah.
She's like, the problem is you were a slave to your drug habit. And so that ruled everything. You know, like I tell the guys at the rehab all the time, if you're not dope sick, then you have a choice.
Right.
Because for me, when I was dope sick, I didn't have a choice. The only time I was going to get clean is if they took me in handcuffs.
Absolutely, 100%.
So
I'm not getting clean any other way than that.
no, I'm not doing it voluntarily.
And everybody knew that.
Of course.
You would have literally had to come in there with the jaws of life and take me out of that trap house. I had a chain going through my door, through a stud in the wall, deadbolted.
That's okay. You know what I mean?
And my brother actually came down to try to get me up out of there, and guess what?
Not successful.
No, dude. I was in there like, it looked like a dungeon in there.
Yeah, that's where our addiction takes us.
Right.
Complete hopelessness, complete powerlessness. I mean, just everything. The coming up on 7 years clean. You're coming up on what?
I'm coming up on 6 years clean.
6 years clean. We are, for the most part, pretty well put together. Now, don't get it confused. I am still a train wreck. Right?
Yeah, it's a nightmare
it's still
most
plenty
days.
areas where I fall short.
Right.
But the individual that I was the absolute bottom of the barrel,
Right.
the worst of the worst.
Right.
And so to see, and that's why I love going into the rehab, and I'm so glad you started coming with me, is because for every 50 to 100 guys in there, one will get out and you'll see him in a meeting. You know what I mean? And you'll see him, he'll go to the halfway house.
It's crazy you say that because I just saw, I'm not going to say his name,
Yeah.
but I just saw somebody that just commenced,
Okay.
and he was first day out
Yep.
at the meeting.
See, and that's why I continue to do it. You know what I mean? We've been fortunate with this business where we've got to hire 2 people from the program that we got to witness firsthand that were out here doing the right thing and
And they're making plays too.
making big boy plays. Big boy plays.
Big steps.
I want to transition because, you know, recording these podcasts once a week, a lot of things come to mind, right? Because there's a lot of things that I would think as a viewer that I would want to hear people talk about, right?
Right.
And so one thing that I want to ask you is when you first get clean, self-esteem, self-worth, I mean, just everything's at the lowest of lows, right? Yeah. You feel guilt, you feel shame. You know, you ran like I did because I've seen the pictures, skin and bones,
Bad.
right?
125 pounds, 6'2".
Couple of dirty pairs of clothes, you know what I mean? A pair of shoes. That's about all we have to our name, right?
Yeah.
But you get some sobriety under your belt, you get some substantial clean time. And while our problems change, because for that first year, the only thing I was trying to do was just not get high.
Right.
That's it. That's it. If I didn't do it, as long as I didn't get high, it was a win. Now that we have some substantial clean time, what is something that you are self-conscious about?
Right.
What is something today that is in your life that maybe you don't like?
Well, I don't know if it's so much that I don't like it, but I can't go to, and I think it goes back to how you were saying we had nothing. We came from nothing.
Yeah.
All right, bottom of the barrel, dirt, right?
Oh, yeah.
So when I go to Walmart, I feel like I want to look like, you know what I mean? I'm putting the gold on. I'm putting the fresh pair of shoes on. I got the new outfit that I just bought. Like, I think a lot of those insecurities and stuff are still with me, right? Because I've never had it. That's a big thing for me. Mm-hmm. I want to look nice.
Okay.
I've never had anything.
Fair enough.
You know, and my girl, she'll be like, Lucas, why you gotta always look like that? You look like a thought. Lucas, why you always dress like a thought? I ain't never been able to. I never had the means. Okay? Never had the means to be a thought. Alright? Just because I dress like a thought doesn't mean I'm acting like one. I don't have to live like that anymore. Before I acted like a thought and I didn't dress like one. All right?
Dressed like a bum.
I dressed like a bum.
I cannot wait till we show that picture.
I'll pull it up right now.
Show the picture. Because I think insecurity, especially no matter where you are in your recovery journey, right? Insecurity, in my opinion, is one of the biggest issues, right? I think everybody, normal people, drug addicts, people in recovery, it doesn't matter. Insecurity does not discriminate, right? Everybody
Correct.
has insecurities. And so I just think it's super important to touch on that, because I know that there's people that are dealing with things.
Dude, some of the most, it doesn't matter what it is, some of the most rich people, some of the, people with the most clean time,
You hear about celebrities dying from drug overdoses.
Right.
You hear about celebrities killing themselves.
Right.
And so that just shows you that, these people have the financial means to not have a worry, right? Because I had the same kind of mindset. Whoever said money doesn't buy happiness just didn't have a lot, right? Always had that thought process in my mind until I went through some real life shit that money couldn't fix.
All that monetary stuff, that's not what it's about.
Not what it's about at all. Go ahead and show that pic. Oh, God,
So
what a
this
banger.
is me in 2016.
This is right around the time we met. Yeah, right around the time we met.
I was working for an auto glass company, which I still work for them, but now I'm successful. And here I was only successful with telling secrets to the table while standing up.
Please show that picture. Oh, God.
There it is.
Night, night.
Night, night, termite.
And that's in the middle of the day.
Middle of the day.
At an important work meeting.
But here's something. I'm still on my feet.
You are, which is impressive.
Points.
Yep.
And, if you can see there, I'm still clutching my pen. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, take the wins where you can get them.
Ready to write deals.
You were writing all the deals.
That should go on the letterhead right there.
Absolutely. With that being said, you've come a long way.
That was embarrassing.
So embarrassing.
I'm embarrassed right now.
You should
And now
be.
I'm moving. I haven't moved the whole podcast, and now I'm moving.
But that's the point, is to get you uncomfortable, to get you on your toes, and to let the people see that this is our life.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're not just here by, magic, or we didn't not have issues because we had issues.
And it didn't just come overnight.
Yeah.
We didn't just develop all these tools and be able to build a defense against that first use, which is probably the most important thing for me. Because if I can keep myself from doing that first one, then I will keep myself from that horrible wheel of death, that spiral of getting up, getting high, hitting a lick. Like I said, go to Home Depot, steal some diamond encrusted drill bits, return it, get the gift cards, bring it to the pawn shop. It's a nasty and it's a vicious cycle, and it just keeps on going. So, we didn't develop the tools to keep ourselves from that cycle overnight. Like, that was in 2016. Since then, I've done a 38-month prison bid, where I worked on myself and managed to stay clean the entire time. I've gotten out. I've been around the right people. I've been off social media, which is another big thing for me. Social media is a killer.
Huge. You know, I'm a huge advocate of that. I've been off social media almost my entire clean time, just because for me, social media was... I used it for attention-seeking behavior, to make myself feel good.
For all the wrong people, too.
Oh, God. Listen, I was that dude that posted the douchebag gym shirtless selfies.
Right.
And then anybody that liked my picture, we go together. That's my girlfriend. That's my girlfriend now. Yeah. I currently have 36 girlfriends.
That's sick.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely disgusting. And that's not a way to find self-worth. That's not a way to find self-esteem. And for me, what I've observed is that is the hardest thing for people to understand or come to terms with is just being okay with being you. And yes, we can cover it up with nice clothes and with jewelry and with, fancy shoes and nice cars and whatever. But at the end of the day, if you haven't done the work on yourself, you're a ticking time bomb.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it takes loving yourself, flaws and all.
Right.
You know what I mean? And really getting that understanding of yourself.
And even that fear of failure, too. Use that.
Yeah.
Use the fear of failure. Right now, this podcast is going so well.
Oh, God, too well.
I want to throw this microphone through that phone right there.
Yeah.
And walk out of here.
What you don't know is I actually stopped recording everything about 10 minutes ago because it was going too well. Okay?
I'm terrified.
Yeah.
But you can use that.
Yeah, and if you heard at the intro of this podcast, I said another episode because this is the 4th episode that we've recorded. The first 3 were not usable at all.
No.
And so, but again,
White noise.
Again, that goes to trying something, failing,
Right.
picking yourself back up,
Thomas Edison.
dusting off the shoulders, right? And getting back into it. And I think that that's how you have to approach life. I mean, I've lost jobs in recovery, lost loved ones in recovery,
Definitely.
lost so much, right? Gained so much, lost so much. And so if you don't have that general understanding of it's okay to just be okay. I remember when I first got clean, right? And you know how when you get out of jail or you get out of rehab and you have that pink cloud, right? The sky's a little bluer, the grass is a little greener.
It's crisp.
Oh, bro, you're practically skipping down the sidewalk whistling. You know what I mean? You're just so happy, right?
Yeah.
And then, like I tell the guys at the rehab all the time, you get a job and your alarm clock goes off that first day and you literally just
Bro, I don't
Right out of
even
bed.
need an alarm
oh
clock.
God, I don't need coffee, I don't need nothing. I went to sleep in my work clothes.
Yeah, it looks like the exorcism of Lucas Grant. I'm just...
Yeah. Exactly.
I float.
Exactly.
I float into the kitchen.
Yeah.
Coffee's already made.
You're-
The coffee pot new.
Listen, I'm talking to the dog. You know what I mean? Good morning, bud. How you doing? You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking to everybody, okay? Eventually, that pink cloud goes away, right?
Right.
And that alarm clock goes off and you hit the snooze button. Right.
100%.
And you get up and you're dragging your feet through the house. You know what I mean? And I look at that same dog and I'm like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
I don't even own a dog.
So yeah, you're looking at that dog like it's like, what,
Where did you come from?
oh, this is the ugliest cat I've ever seen in my life.
Who let this raccoon in the house? So, with that being said, right, you get to that point. And I remember when I got to that point and I was in a halfway house and I was just like, blah. Like I wasn't, and I had nothing to be blah about. I had a job, I had friends, I had recovery, I had all of these things going the best they've ever gone in my life, right? And I called my aunt, who I've been close with my entire life, and she said, "What's going on?" And she's not one of us; she's a normie. And I said, "I don't know. I'm blah." And she starts laughing, right? And I said, "What's funny? Like, I'm in a funk." And she said, "Welcome to being an adult."
Yeah, like that's not
And like I was like, "Oh shit, okay." You know what I mean? Like,
oh, this isn't a recovery thing. Like
yeah,
this is
welcome to being a human being. You know what I mean? This is what life.
you're finally feeling something.
Now that you're not a zombie, this is what life is like.
Yeah.
And so, it makes a lot of sense that you have to have that understanding and that self-understanding of who you are, what makes you tick. But the biggest thing is just not to be so hard on yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? We get in funks. You know what I mean? Listen, you and I can think of a handful of times over the past couple months where we've called each other and we bring out the character Max perspective, right? So like, I remember the first time, like I called you and I don't even remember what I was complaining about, but you let me complain for at least 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And actually, I think it was when we were coming up on the house being built, and we were trying to meet all these deadlines. And I was like, man, we got to meet these deadlines. And dude, like, I'm working, and then I'm picking up the kids, and then I'm working on the house. And you let me go for a while.
And then I said,
Yep.
oh, you mean you have a new house?
That you're building?
Building a new house
Yeah.
on your own property?
Yep. And you're going there after the job that you have.
Right.
And you're getting there in the vehicle that you paid off.
Your nice truck.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that actually doubled as a work truck because now you are a business owner.
Exactly. And so, in that point in time, because it's easy to get caught up, right? And that's why, I always say, like, I surround myself with the winners, and the winners are not necessarily the people that have achieved all their monetary goals. That's not what I mean by winning. No. It's the people that I have firsthand seen that not only do they talk the talk, but they walk the walk. They've made it through some shit. They live life the right way. And that doesn't mean they're perfect, because like I always say, the only thing that I have done perfect up until this point is not get high. That's it. That's it. I fail at being a parent daily. I feel like I fail at being a spouse most days. I fail as a boss and an employee most days.
Friend.
I think I'm
sometimes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But the important thing is that I continue to try to do the right thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Is there anything that you do to kind of do that self-awareness check that you can think of?
100%.
So what do you do?
Like every 3 hours, I replay the last 3 hours in my head. And I think, did I handle that situation right? What could I have done better?
So for me, it's at night, kids go to sleep, wife goes to sleep, and I take about 10, 15 minutes and I replay the entire day, right? And do the same thing. Where did I fall short? What areas could I have improved in? And then when I wake up in the morning, when I'm brushing my teeth, I kind of try to game plan, right? Yeah. So like for me, right, one of the things that keeps coming up is as a parent, right? Because while I feel like I do have patience, I lose patience a lot. A lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I always start my day like, okay, we're going to start this day and I'm going to be positive.
You stabbed a soccer ball.
I did stab a soccer.
With a steak knife.
And you're bringing that up? Okay.
I was terrified.
Oh.
It scared me more than it scared your kids.
Stop.
Your kids laughed at you. Your daughter's such a savage that she laughed and said, "Is that all you got?" While I'm in the corner cowering, bro.
Listen, if you're going to tell the story, you got to tell the whole story. Okay? My son bounces soccer balls, bouncy balls, footballs, any type of ball in the house at least 300 times a day.
And then he told you that he was hungry for lunch, and you sliced the soccer ball. You said, "We don't eat lunch in this house. We make money."
So we're lying. That's what we're doing here.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. And he bounced the ball, and I told him to stop bouncing the ball, and you were over with your kids. And I said, hey, check it out. Next time you play with that ball, I'm going to pop it.
Yeah.
And what happened? He bounced the ball, and I grabbed it, and I walked over to the counter, and I took out a steak knife, and I stabbed it. And what did he do? He cried. And ran upstairs.
But what was awesome was that your daughter was laughing.
Yes. Okay. That's a story for another day.
Okay.
And I sat down and you told me, this is how I know you're full of it, saying you were scared. You told me that was a move that you had seen before from another individual, or that was an individual type move. Do you remember that individual? And you got to say his name on here.
I'm going to say his name.
Okay. And
Jeff Grant.
Okay, and who is that in relation to you?
It's my father.
Okay, so don't tell me you were scared because you grew up.
I respected it.
Okay, yeah. So, but then this is the battle that I deal with, right? I let him get away with stuff, and then I try to put my foot down. He doesn't listen, and then I have to go to a drastic measure, right?
Right.
And so then that happens. I stab his bouncy ball,
Right.
right? Completely shredded it. He's upstairs crying.
You were embarrassed.
I was embarrassed, and I felt bad. I was
remember.
embarrassed, and I felt bad.
I remember.
You know, I'm still trying to figure out this parenting thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? My son's 7, my daughter's 3. I'm still trying to figure it out. And
telling me.
staying clean. Listen. Plenty of times dealing with these kids that I'm like, you know what? Shot of meth might be all right.
Hot rail fix everything.
Yeah. Load up a couple of D's. I'll be okay. I'll be okay.
I won't give a shit about these kids.
Nah. I'll be cool as a fan. You know what I
Then
mean?
you play that tape all the way through.
Of course. And I know for me, and this is like some people drink. I can't. I'm not worried that if I drink a beer that I'm going to wake up tomorrow and be an alcoholic. What I'm afraid of is if I drink a beer, all bets are off.
If I drink a beer,
All bets are off.
immediately throwing a smoke bomb, poof! In a matter of seconds, I'm down in Northport in a trap house,
Of course. Like that.
banging big boy shots
Losing everything.
shards
Yep.
and losing everything. Everything's
Just
up.
like that.
The car, the house, the girl, the kids, the whole list.
All of it's gone.
All of it. The podcast.
Oh, God, what are you talking about? This isn't even our equipment, and we're selling it all.
Yeah, 100%.
We would have sold all this equipment out the window. We would have climbed out the window, left my wife and her friend upstairs.
I'm going to be at the door, man. Like,
You want a microphone?
check it out.
You want a fancy light?
Do a sound check on this thing real quick.
Yeah. I mean, everything. You know what I mean? All bets are off. That's just my reality. And I'm okay with that. And I've come to terms with that. You know, and that goes into acceptance, right? I accept the fact that, you know, this is my life and I'm okay with it, right?
Right.
You know, I remember when I first got clean, I had 2 reservations that I didn't tell anybody about, which I don't recommend. Because if you have reservations, you need to share about it. But it was if anything happened to my mom and when I got married. When I got married, I was going to have a glass of champagne because I didn't even think I would ever get married, right? My mom wound up in a loony bin, right? And I didn't even think about getting high. You know, and it was so cool. You want to talk about one of those full circle moments, right? Because she used to come and visit me in jail and put money on my books and, you know what I mean? Or in rehab, bring me a care package.
You trying to make me cry right now?
Nope.
You
Don't.
brought me in here to
Don't.
make me cry?
Don't do
That's the
this.
big payoff for the whole thing. You're trying to make me cry
Don't do this.
on our first podcast.
So my mom winds up in a loony bin, and like I was able to be a support to her. I was able to take her sweatpants and socks and you know toiletries, and didn't even think about getting high. And then when I got married, and my wife's also in recovery, the only thing that was on my table was a 20-ounce Red Bull.
Yeah.
That's it. You know what I mean? And so, you know, as time goes on, those things that in the beginning you can't even fathom getting through it clean, right? I mean, listen, we both, my daughter being in the NICU, you know what I mean, was probably, for me, the hardest thing that I had to get through clean. And getting high wasn't even a thought. And the program, the people in the program showed up for me. Right. And I know for you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've gotten through some heavy stuff.
Yeah, my mom
Yeah.
passed from COVID. And that was... I was living in Northport with her, and
I feel like you guys had just got that house.
we just got the house. I had been out of prison for like 7 months. And, you know, we had that house in Northport, and it just... Dude, she caught COVID, and like in a matter of like 14 days, she was gone.
Yeah.
It was insane. And then I was stuck in that house by myself. And mind you, I'm in my stomping grounds.
Of course.
I'm in Northport.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a dozen places where I could have gone. But I think me being in prison for that time and staying clean for those 3 years that I was in prison, I was able to condition myself, because you're not in the chain gang, dude. There's not anywhere you can go. Mm-hmm. The drugs are there.
Yep.
And there's nowhere you can go. I've literally had people hand me bags of dope for cutting hair, and I've had to hand it back to them. I've had bombs of Molly in my hand, ice. They got rigs in there. It's horrible, dude.
That's crazy.
So I was able to condition myself and to build up, like I said, that tolerance against that first, or that defense against that first use, right? So that when something like that happened, like my mom passing, or while I was in there, when they took my kids away from me, you know, that termination hearing, that was tough, right? I could have went back and just went all out. Nobody is watching. Yeah. When my mom passed, nobody was there at the house for a good, 24 hours.
I remember.
I was straight. Yeah. I could have done it. And nobody could have told me shit.
No, who would?
Who would have told me? They would have helped me back up. But nobody would have held it against me. I'm glad I didn't.
Of course.
I'm terrified of starting from scratch.
And that's the biggest thing. You know, I tell people, right? Because just like you, you know, people that are struggling, or family members that have, you know, loved ones that are struggling, and, you know, they reach out because they see that we've been successful thus far, right? And it's nothing that you can fully, like, you can't just say, like, oh, I'm recovered, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to do any work anymore.
Cured.
Yeah, I'm cured, right? It's a continuous journey. It's a marathon, right?
It is. It's not a sprint.
And, you know, people say, like, you know, what do we need to do? It doesn't need to be a long-term program. Like, no, you just got to be willing. You just have to have that willingness. That willingness to do whatever is suggested, to understand that you can no longer drive this vehicle, because every time you drive it, you crash it.
Right.
You need to just hop in the passenger seat, and you just need to flow. Just go with the flow. That's it, right? And that's why they told me, you know, halfway house, done. Support group, done. Home group, service commitment, done. 90 meetings, 90 days, done. You know what I mean? And now look at it. We got into a situation where your brother, friends of ours, a whole group, you know, went on a trip and, you know, relapsed.
Decades of clean time.
And they came back, and we got to be a support to them. We got to rally around them.
Which was a very, crazy thing for me, because my brother was the one who was my support when I was going through it, and when I got out of prison, and I'm bouncing all my ideas off of him, and if he says no go, it's a no go. Yeah. So when he comes back, and now I'm coming to pick him up, to take him to meetings and this and that.
But that's what this program's about, right? That's what this program is about, is helping people. Because you can get to that point, we can get to that point, where if we stop putting in the work or thinking we're cured, right? That we can get to that point where, oh, I don't need to go to meetings. Oh, I don't need to talk about my feelings. Oh, I feel like getting high, I probably shouldn't share about it, right? It's easy to fall into that trap. And so the important thing is to keep doing the things that got you here, right? Keeping it simple. And so it was, that experience for them was an eye-opening experience for us. We didn't get high, but we were plugging back into the community. You know what I mean? Going to a ton of meetings. Sharing, you know what I mean? Like really diving back into it.
It's crazy, but that's what I thought too. I was like, if it could happen to, dude, my brother had 10 years clean.
I know.
He was the rock.
Yeah.
He was the one that I always looked up to in recovery. Yeah. So when he went back out, I was like, dude, and that's the whole thing with the addiction, doesn't discriminate, dude.
Doesn't.
Like if it can touch him, I know it can touch me. Like I am, I'm fallible, dude.
You know what's crazy is we were gonna hop on a plane and go to Vegas and fight everybody
you
and drag them
had
back.
Tickets. You had tickets.
You remember I was sending him pictures at the airport.
You researched the room number.
The hotel.
At the hotel.
Yep.
Not just the hotel, the room number.
Oh, yeah.
And we had tickets to go beat everybody's ass.
Drag them back.
And then I told my girl about it.
So funny. So funny because while you were having that conversation, I called somebody in my support group and was like, hey, bunch of people are messing up. You know who these people are to me. Me and Luke are about to hop on a plane, shoot out there. And it was so funny. And this just goes to show you the growth that we've had, right? Yeah. Because you take old Luke, we're not even worried about telling anybody. We're on a plane.
Yeah, and I'm not going out there to bring anybody back.
Nah, I'm going out there to get high.
I'm upset.
Yeah.
Because y'all left me.
You guys didn't invite me, right? But we talk about it, right? And I literally called you and we told each other the exact same thing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I told my girl, and she said, so what, Lucas? You ain't got a family here or something? What, you acting like you just all alone and stuff? Like you ain't got responsibilities and stuff?
Can you please record her reaction when she hears how terrible you are doing her accent?
What do you mean?
Oh, God, it's...
Rosie Perez?
Oh, it's so Rosie Perez.
What are you thinking?
Well, and ironically enough, so I had called a guy named Boston Chuck, right? Who I was drawn to in early recovery because he just kept it raw and funky and didn't sugarcoat anything, right? And his exact words, I said, I'm looking at plane tickets. Me and Luke are about to go hop on a plane and drag these guys home. And his exact words are you a fucking idiot?
Anybody with the name Boston anything is going to tell you blood raw.
Yeah. He said, are you a fucking idiot? He said, those guys have a better chance of getting you high than you have of getting them clean.
100%.
He said, if you're dead set on going out there, go out there with a big crew. Yeah. Not just you and one other guy. My suggestion is like fly to Dallas and have them fly to Dallas and meet them there. You know what I mean?
Would we have made it back?
Probably not.
Maybe.
Well, keep in mind our game plan was to get off the plane and start fighting everybody. Yeah. So what would have happened realistically is we would currently be incarcerated in the Las Vegas Department of Corrections, facing trial, right, for assault and battery.
PRR. I'd be back in the...
Yeah. Yep. And so I probably would have been bonded. I probably could have bonded out. I mean, I have felonies, but I don't have a rap sheet like you. You would have been there.
Yeah.
And
I would put me under the jail.
This podcast would not be going on right now.
Can't imagine what...
I would have gotten a phone call. You have an incoming call from an inmate at the Las Vegas... Whatever.
Thank you for using Teenetics. You may start your conversation now.
Exactly.
Flip! Call Wanda! Call Wanda, tell her I'm sorry!
So that's how that would have ended. But because of where we are today, you know what I mean, in the growth and knowing that our first thought may not be the best one, we always bounce ideas off of each other. Yeah. And it all worked out, you know what I mean? And they came back and some lives were shaken up for a bit, you know what I mean? And there's still amends being made and repairs being made. But
honestly, I don't recommend going back out, but if you go back out like that was the best case scenario. Because they could have been dead. All of them could have been dead.
Absolutely.
Easily.
Absolutely. And so, just for today, I'm grateful that we get to do this. Right? Just for today, I'm grateful that we've done the work thus far, right? To have the lives that we have, where we're able to do something like this, where people actually trust us, where we can borrow their fancy equipment, right? Because there was a point in time I wasn't allowed in anybody's house, right?
Yeah.
And let alone them lending me anything.
Right.
And so it just goes to show you that, hard work, perseverance, you can accomplish things, you know what I mean? And it's at different stages. I know people who have 6 months clean and have a business and a boat and all this. I'm like, how the fuck did you do that? You know what I mean? Because it took me a while to start accumulating things.
But like you said, it's a marathon.
It's a marathon.
One foot in front of the other.
That's it.
You can't watch the finish line.
No, not at all. And so, well, we've been going for about 45 minutes.
Wow.
Because it was suggested that we open it up to questions, right? So like if you have questions or things you want to hear us talk about, you email. So as of right now, we don't have any of that stuff set up. We have the YouTube set up.
Yeah, we got the YouTube.
But when we get everything, we'll go ahead and post it on the video, post it in the description. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. No idea what's in store. I'm kind of excited.
I know exactly what's in store.
Do you feel a little bit stronger holding the Darth Vader mic?
You don't like what you're doing?
What? I look over and I'm like, wow.
You think this is the Darth Vader mic?
Absolutely.
That's the Darth Vader mic.
Okay. Fair enough.
This is the disco mic.
I'm cool with it either way.
Which is what they used to call me back in high school.
What I do know that I love how we ended. Do you remember how we ended the last podcast?
Yeah, but we can't do that here.
Oh, we most certainly can.
No, we really can't. That's not ours. That's not ours. You're going, and I'm going to go with you.